Fighting with the swords, gone. Playing with the brain, on. Let's play Giraffe Chess Hattrick League Season 3.
International Giraffe Chess Federation presents Hattrick League Season 3 between 10 Proddatur teams. Hello everyone, welcome to India's new 68 squared Giraffe Chess Academy Proddatur, and welcome to the live telecast of no draws, no resigns, only win or lose in just 70 moves Giraffe Chess Hattrick League 2024 Season 3. Let us watch Hattrick League 7th match between Proddatur Spartans versus Proddatur Panthers. Each team consists of 3 players. Whoever team all outs opponent all 3 players is the match winners. Let us see the toss at the center of the court.
So what's the call? Head is the call from Proddatur Spartans. It is the tails. Toss won by the Proddatur Panthers. Black side or white side? Proddatur Spartans, Proddatur Panthers, they won the toss and elected to play first game on black side.
And in toss, Proddatur Panthers team won the toss and opted to play on black side. And here is the both teams lineup. For Proddatur Panthers team, Naga Vignesh is the opener and Sujan is the second player, and Akhileshwar comes to play as third player. And for Proddatur Spartans team, Jaswant is the opener and Tejas is the second player, and Nawaz comes to play as third player. Now let us watch first game of the match between Proddatur Spartans team opening player Jaswant versus Proddatur Panthers team opening player Naga Vignesh. Let us see among these 2 players who will win this game and who will do hat-trick and who will be the hat-trick hero of today's great match. Let us watch. Let us move on to the court. Young Scholar awardee Proddatur Spartans team opening player Jaswant is ready to play on white side. Let us see on other side of the court. Little Scholar awardee Proddatur Panthers team opening player Naga Vignesh is ready to play on black side.
Now we can see both players are ready to start game 1 of the match. Black side player Naga Vignesh is ready to hit the clock. Yes, he hit the clock. Game 1 started.
Pawn to e3, pawn to d6, pawn to d4, knight to f6, bishop to c4, pawn to e5, knight to f3, pawn capture pawn at d4, queen capture pawn at d4, knight to c6, queen to d1, bishop to e6, bishop to b3, bishop capture bishop at b3, pawn capture bishop at b3, knight to g4, giraffe to d3, queen to c8, pawn to h3, knight to e5, bishop to d2, knight capture, knight at f3 and check to white king, queen capture, knight at f3, knight to e5, queen to f4, Knight capture giraffe at d3. Pawn capture knight at d3. Pawn to g6. Knight to c3. Giraffe to e6. Knight to d5. Giraffe capture pawn at d3. Giraffe to c3. Giraffe capture pawn at g2. Pawn to g1. Giraffe to d3. Queen to e4 and check to black king. Bishop to e7. Queen capture giraffe at d3. Queen capture pawn at h3. King to e0 illegal. King to d0. Queen to h2. Knight capture pawn at c7 and check to black king. King to f8. Knight capture rook at a8. Queen capture pawn at f2 and check to white king. Bishop to e1. Queen capture rook at g1. Knight to c7. Bishop to f6. Giraffe to f4. Queen to f2. Bishop capture queen at f2. Bishop to g5. Queen to b5. Giraffe to
Now Jashwant
b8.
immediately moved
Queen
his
to-
queen to e8 and said check to black king. It is not only check, it is a checkmate win to Jashwant. What a superb checkmate win to Jashwant. Proddatur Panthers team Naga Vignesh out, and Jashwant with this win he won the first game and still need 2 more wins to do hat-trick and become hat-trick hero of today's great match.
Now, let us watch second game of the match between Proddatur Spartans team opening player Jaswant versus Proddatur Panthers team second player Sujan Kumar Reddy. Let us see among these two players who will win this game and who will do hat-trick and who will be the hat-trick hero of today's great match. Among these two players, Jaswant already won the first game and now playing for winning second game. Let us watch what will happen. Let us move on to the court. Young Scholar awardee Proddatur Spartans team opening player Jaswant is ready to play on black side. Let us see on other side of the court. Best Scholar awardee Proddatur Panthers team second player Sujan Kumar Reddy is ready to play on white side.
Now we can see both players are ready to start game 1 of the match. Black side player Jaswant is ready to hit the clock. Yes, he hit the clock. Game 2 started.
Pawn to e4, pawn to e5, knight to f3, pawn to d6, pawn to c3, pawn to h6, pawn to h3, pawn to a6, pawn to d4, knight to f6, pawn capture pawn at e5, pawn capture pawn at e5, knight capture pawn at e5, knight capture pawn at e4, pawn to f3, queen to h4 and check to white king, king to e2, queen to f2 and check to white king, king to d3, giraffe to c6 and check to white king, king capture knight at e4, bishop to f5 and check to white king, king to f4, bishop to c5, pawn to b4, queen to h4 and check to white king, pawn to g4, Queen to g5 and check to white king. King to g3. Giraffe to f6 and check to white king. King to g2. Queen to h4. Pawn capture bishop at c5. Giraffe capture pawn at c5. Pawn capture bishop at f5. Giraffe capture pawn at f5 and check to white king. King to g1. Queen to e7. Pawn to h4. Queen capture knight at e5. Bishop to h3. Giraffe to c4. Queen to d4. Queen capture queen at d4. Pawn capture queen at d4. Giraffe to d8. King to f2. Giraffe capture knight at b1. Rook to e1 and check to black king. King to d7. Giraffe capture at Giraffe capture giraffe at b1. Rook to e8. Giraffe to c4 and check to black king. King to c6. Giraffe to f5 and check to black king. King to d5. Giraffe capture rook at e8 and check to black king. King to c4. Giraffe capture pawn at b7 and check to black king. King to b5. Rook to b1 and check to black king. King to c6. Bishop to f4. Knight to d7. Rook to c1 and check to black king. King to d5. Giraffe to e8 and check to black king. King to king capture pawn at d4. Rook to d1 and check to black king. King to c4. Giraffe to f5 and check to black king. King to c5.
Now Sujan
Bishop
immediately
to
moved
a3
his
and
bishop
check
to
to black king
c3
and it's
and
a
said check to black king. It is not only check, it is a checkmate win to Sujan. What a superb checkmate win to Sujan. Jaswant out. Proddatur Spartans team opening player Jaswant out. And with this win, Sujan, he won the first game and still need 2 more wins to do Hattrick and become Hattrick hero of today's great match.
Now, let us watch third game of the match between Proddatur Spartans team second player Tejesh versus Proddatur Panthers team second player Sujan Kumar Reddy. Let us see among these two players who will win this game and who will do hat-trick and who will be the hat-trick hero of today's great match. Among these two players, Sujan Kumar Reddy already won first game and now playing for winning second game. Let us see what will happen. Let us move on to the court. Young Scholar Awardee Proddatur Spartans team second player Tejesh is ready to play on right side. Let us see on other side of the court. Best Scholar Awardee Proddatur Panthers team second player Sujan Kumar Reddy is ready to play on black side.
Now we can see both players are ready to start game 3 of the match. Black side player Sujan is ready to hit the clock. Yes, he hit the clock. Game 3 started.
Pawn to h3. Pawn to e5. Pawn to e3. Pawn to f6. Pawn to d4. Pawn to d6. Pawn to c4. Pawn to c5. Pawn capture pawn at c5. Pawn capture pawn at c5. Knight to f3. Queen capture queen at d1 and check to white king. King capture queen at d1. Pawn to g5. Pawn to g4. Pawn to b6. Pawn to h4. Bishop capture pawn at g4. Bishop to e2. Pawn to e4. Knight to h2. Bishop capture bishop at e2. King capture bishop at e2. Pawn to f5. Pawn to f3. Pawn capture pawn at h4. Knight to f1. Pawn capture pawn at f3. King capture pawn at f3. Rook capture pawn at h4. Bishop to e7. Rook to h1. Knight to d7. Pawn to e4. Knight to e5 and check to white king. King to f4. Bishop to d6. Pawn capture pawn at f5. Knight to d3 and check to white king. King to g4. Knight capture bishop at c1. Knight to g3. Knight capture giraffe at e0. Rook to e1 and check to black king. Bishop to e7. Rook capture knight at e0. Knight to d7. Pawn to f6. Knight capture pawn at f6 and check to white king. King to h3. Rook to g8. Knight to f5. Castling at queen side. Knight capture bishop at e7 and check to black king. King to d7. Knight capture rook at g8. Giraffe capture knight at g8. knight to d2, king to c6, knight to e4, giraffe to f5, knight capture knight at f6, giraffe capture knight at f6, king to g4, giraffe to g2, king to g5, rook to f8, king to h6, giraffe to g3 and check to white king, king to g7, rook to d8, king to f7, giraffe to f5, rook to e1, giraffe to d4, rook to e8, giraffe capture rook at e8, king to f8, giraffe to
Now we can see Tejas is just one
B7.
step away to win by crowning. Yes, he moved
King
his
to
king
E9.
to E9 and won the game by crowning. What a superb crowning win to Tejas. Sujan out. Proddatur Panthers team second player Sujan out. A big disappointment for Sujan. He lost a hat-trick chance.
Now, let us watch fourth game of the match between Proddatur Spartans team second player Tejesh versus Proddatur Panthers team last player Akileshwar Reddy. Let us see who will win this game. If Tejesh wins this game, his Proddatur Spartans team won the match. If Akileshwar Reddy wins this game, match will be tied with 2-all games and go for fifth game for results. Let us move on to the court. Young Scholar awardee Proddatur Spartans team second player Tejesh is ready to play on black side. Let us see on other side of the court. Proddatur Panthers team last player Akileshwar Reddy is ready to play on white side.
Now we can see both players are ready to start game 4 of the match. Black side player Tejas is ready to hit the clock. Yes, he hit the clock. Game 4 started.
giraffe to d3, pawn to e6, pawn to e4, giraffe to c6, giraffe capture giraffe at c6, knight capture giraffe at c6, pawn to d4, pawn to e5, knight to f3, pawn capture pawn at d4, knight capture pawn at d4, knight capture knight at d4, queen capture knight at d4, pawn to b6, queen to d5, knight to f6, queen capture rook at a8, pawn to c6, queen capture pawn at a7, giraffe to d6, queen to a3, giraffe to e9, queen to c3, knight capture pawn at e4, queen to e3, queen to e7, queen capture pawn at b6, knight to g3, bishop to e3, knight capture rook at h1, knight to c3, queen to f6, queen to b3, queen capture pawn at f2 and check to white king, bishop capture queen at f2, pawn to d5, knight capture pawn at d5, bishop to e6, queen to b6, pawn capture knight at d5, queen to c6 and check to white king, bishop to d7, queen capture pawn at d5, pawn to h6, castling at queen side, knight capture bishop at f2,
Akhleshwar immediately
King
captured
captured
bishop
bishop
at
at
d7
d7
and said check
and
to
it's a
blacking.
checkmate.
It is not only check, it is a checkmate win to Akhilesh. What a superb checkmate win to Akhilesh. Tejesh out. Proddatur Spartans team second player Tejesh out.
Now, let us watch most important match winning deciding fifth game of the match between Proddatur Spartans team last player Nawaz versus Proddatur Panthers team last player Akileshwar Reddy. So far, both teams won 2 games. Now, whoever team player wins this fifth game, they are the match winners. Let us watch what will happen. Let us move on to the court. 7 times Hattrick hero, best scholar awardee, Proddatur Spartans team last player Nawaz is ready to play on white side. Let us see on other side of the court. Proddatur Panthers team last player Akileshwar Reddy is ready to play on black side.
Now we can see both players are ready to start. Game 5 of the match. Black side player Akileshwar is ready to hit the clock. Yes, he hit the clock. Game 5 started.
Pawn to c4. Pawn to e5. Knight to c3. Knight to c6. Pawn to e3. Pawn to f5. Pawn to d4. Pawn to e4. Pawn to d5. Knight to e5. Pawn to f4. Pawn capture pawn at f3 in passment. Knight capture pawn at f3. Knight capture knight at f3 and check to white king. Queen capture knight at f3. Pawn to c6. Queen capture pawn at f5. Queen to e7. Pawn to e4. Pawn to d6. Queen to h5 and check to black king. King to d8. Bishop to e2. Knight to f6. Queen to f3. Bishop to g4. Queen to d3. Pawn to g6. bishop to g5, queen to e5, bishop capture knight at f6, giraffe capture bishop at f6, bishop capture bishop at g4, pawn to h5, bishop to f3, pawn capture pawn at d5, pawn capture pawn at d5, bishop to h6, giraffe to g1, queen to g5, queen to d4, rook to c8, pawn to g3, pawn to h4, giraffe capture pawn at h4, pawn to a6, Giraffe to G1. Pawn to B5. Giraffe to D2. Rook to C4. Queen to B6 and check to black king. Giraffe to C7. Queen to B8 and check to black king. King to E9. Queen capture rook at H8. Giraffe to F6. Giraffe to G1. Rook to D4. Knight to D1. Rook to D2. Giraffe capture rook at D2. Queen capture giraffe at D2 and check to white king. King to D0.
Now Akleshwar.
Giraffe to
Yes, he
E3
jumped his
and check to
giraffe
white
to
king
E3
it's
and
a
said
checkmate.
check to white king. It is not only check, it is a checkmate win to Akhileshwar. What is superb checkmate win to Akhileshwar. Nawaz out. Proddatur Spartans team last player. Nawaz out. And Akhileshwar makes his team won the match in the crucial fifth game. And finally, Spartans team all out in 5 games and lost the match.
Giraffe Chess Hattrick League 2024 Season 3. Let us see match number 7. Proddatur Spartans vs Proddatur Panthers. Match scoreboard. In game 1, Proddatur Spartans player Jaswant outs Proddatur Panthers player Naga Vignesh by checkmate in 29 moves. In game 2, Proddatur Panthers player Sujan outs Proddatur Spartans player Jaswant by checkmate in 37 moves. In game 3, Proddatur Spartans player Tejesh outs Proddatur Panthers player Sujan by checkmate in 41 moves. In game 4, Proddatur Panthers player Akhilesh outs Proddatur Spartans player Tejesh by checkmate in 24 moves. In game 5, Proddatur Panthers player Akhilesh outs Proddatur Spartans player Nawaz by checkmate in 32 moves. And here is the final result. Proddatur Panthers team won the match by all outs Proddatur Spartans team in 4 games. And here is the points table of Hattrick League 2024 Season 3 after 7 matches. Let us see top 4 teams. Proddatur Chirtas team with 4 points stands in first position. Proddatur Kings team with 2 points stands in second position. Proddatur Marshals team with 2 points stands in third position. Proddatur Jaguars team with 2 points stands at fourth position. Top 4 teams qualify for the playoffs.